Hello, my name is Sylvester Henderson, and I am the CEO of Professor for Life Incorporated. And my organization, we have an opportunity to interview well-known academic business owners and professionals. And I am so honored today to be able to introduce CEO and CFO, Mr. Bilal S. Akram from Cleveland, Ohio, I believe it is.
Yes.
And so I want to welcome Mr. Akram.
Thank you, Brother Henderson. It's an honor and a pleasure to be on this platform and to be thought of, and for you to want to hear what I have to say and what Codem is about.
Good. You know what, Mr. Akram, as the CEO and CFO of Code Media Group LLC, could you introduce your company to our digital media community?
Absolutely. Codem is a monthly digital magazine platform that was created specifically for men of color. We are on, you can find us through the website, codemmagazine.com. You can find us on social media, IG at codemmagazine _. Facebook page is Codem Magazine. And really, we are a platform to highlight, celebrate, and talk about men of color because mainstream media are not talking about us, or they're trying to erase our history.
Wow. That's a wonderful, wonderful idea that your company is built upon. And I am so grateful to have met you, my kind sir. Could you let us know where you grew up? Please share your academic journey. Where did you attend high school, college, and I believe also you have a master's degree in psychology, correct?
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
And so tell us where you went to grad school, all those wonderful things, if you would, please.
Well, let me preface it by saying that if people hear my story, they may start crying.
Well, you know what? Tears are good.
But seriously, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, in a middle class neighborhood. Two parents, Rasul and Doris Akram. So what I thought was normal to me, as I grew older, I realized it wasn't normal to have two parents in your household. So that was through my life. That has been a blessing. I have two brothers. I have two older sisters, and I have two younger brothers. But my youngest brother is deceased through gun violence in Cleveland. He was murdered at the age of 19 years old in 1990. So that was a profound impact, not only on me, but also on my family and my parents as well. He was the youngest of five. So I grew up on the east side of Cleveland. I attended John F. Kennedy High School, which is predominantly black high school, 10th grade through 12th grade. I was very popular in school. I was the king of the school, voted in by my peers. And, school came very easy to me. My social skills were very high, but my discipline level was very low as far as studying. But school came easy. I was easily, 3.5 student. And I was from not really applying myself. So that journey took me to the University of Cincinnati. And I said I always say, I should have just worked for NASA, NASA, when I went there. All I did was take up space. My academic pursuit at Cincinnati it didn't end well. And I wound up flunking out twice. Not just once, but twice. And I'm an avid reader. I love to learn. I love to study. I just didn't have the discipline. So, that was part of my early journey during my maturation period. I was going to move to LA when I was 20 years old, but I wound up fathering a son in Cleveland. So I moved back to Cleveland to be a responsible father to my son because he didn't ask to be here. And as I said, when I started this off, that my dad had been with me for my entire life until he passed in 2018. So my son now is 46 years old. Wow. And he's a doctor.
Wow.
HBCU graduate, Howard Medical School. He turned down Harvard to go to Howard.
Oh, wow.
So, yes. And then came home to Cleveland and met a young lady, very attractive. And then we got married. And then I had two more children. So at the time, I had two boys and a girl. And then about 7 years into that marriage, I got divorced. But during that process, I had to feed a family. So I had an uncle and a cousin who were Cleveland firefighters. So I looked around. These guys had new houses. They had cars. They don't work much. I'm like, let me do this job. So I took the tests and I got on. I got on the fire department in 1985. I was about 150 pounds soaking wet. I could barely lift anything, but I passed everything. I passed the written and the physical, and I became a Cleveland firefighter. And that was the beginning of the trajectory that led me to Code M Magazine.
Wow. And where did you finally finish your bachelor's and your master's degree?
Well, the second part of why people will be crying and or laughing is ultimately I retired from the Cleveland Fire Department in 2018. So I had a 33-year career. And during that span, I was on a line company. And then one day, what I always say is what was the worst day of my life actually became the best day of my life. I failed a drug test. So I'm on the line duty. I was called to take a drug test. I knew I wasn't going to pass it. I called the gentleman who was in charge of internal affairs, who happened to look like us. And I said, look, man, I can't pass this test. So he told me, call Elijah. Elijah was head of EAP, the Employee Assistance Program. So I'm calling Elijah. He's not answering his phone. All I'm thinking about is I'm going to throw away my career. And Elijah finally called me. Elijah looks like us. So this was just God's divine interference in my life. And so I told Elijah what was happening. He said, okay, Bilal, you called me this morning on the way to work and said you needed help. He said, let me call Captain Bolden. And that's how it unfolded. I called Captain Bolden. He said, well, I still got to come get you. Elijah called me and I failed the drug test. But at the beginning of the year, I had picked my vacations. And the vacations I picked coincidentally were the same weeks I was getting suspended.
Okay.
So I didn't lose any pay, you know. I went to a rehab facilities, and when I came out the facilities, Elijah had invited me to a chaplain internship certificate class. So it was held at a state facilities for juveniles, so a jail for juveniles. So I said, you know, I'll check it out. And the first day Elijah showed up, I showed up. Second day I showed up, Elijah didn't show up. Third day I showed up. So this pattern went on for the entire semester. And when I look back, what I realized, he was an instrument to get me to that class. It was a 2-year certificate program, 2 semesters, 13 weeks per semester for 2 years. And I received my certificate. So I said, you know what? I might just go back and finish school. So I started Cleveland State University. I finished 2 years to get my bachelor's in religious studies. I said, you know what? I might as well finish up and get my master's. So I did 2 more years to get my master's in psychology. All the while while being a firefighter. So I would go to class on my off days, or when I'm on duty, because I cooked for the shift, I would go shopping and then go to class. You know?
Wow, Mr. Akram, you know, one of the wonderful things about being an educator is to hear that beautiful story, because what I learned about education is that the purpose of education is to simply help people to discover themselves.
Yes.
And there really is no time limit placed on how each of us discover ourselves. It
Correct.
just sounds like in the journey of being an African American and having so many challenges that you had to face, that you still had your own journey. But you were a responsible father, you're a responsible worker, and that doesn't mean that we're perfect, because I also went through a separation divorce, and I still maintain a great sense of responsibility to my children, my family, and my communities. And so it sounds like it's the life of an African American man. And
absolutely right.
And so it sounds like, however, in the midst of that, God loved you enough to allow you to have the opportunity to complete some tasks that
Mm-hmm.
you needed to complete to
Mm-hmm.
help sort of culminate
Yeah.
those
Mm-hmm.
feelings of success inside of you, which brings me to my next question, which is, can you describe your work and obligation as a visionary business owner and creator of the Code magazine, which is the only national magazine that focuses on men of color?
Okay. I'm going to get to that question, but I'm going to go back to what led me to this.
Okay.
So, it will segue into the question you're asking me. So ultimately, once I finished getting my master's, through between the bachelor's and the master's studies, I was also taking EAP courses, employee assistance program courses. So I received a certificate for an EAP. It's called a certificate as an EAP professional. And when Elijah retired, he recommended that I take his position.
Oh,
So
wow.
ultimately, I became the director of the employee assistance program for the Cleveland Fire Department. And
Oh,
what
wow.
that did was it gave me the empathy to, when those that I were counseling, I would often tell them my story. I was on that side of the table at one time. So I know what you're feeling, the shame, the guilt, the hurt, the disappointment. I know those feelings, but I am a product of overcoming what you have. So I'm going to walk this journey. I can't do the work for you, but I'm going to support you during the process of you becoming a better person.
Wow.
And so during that time period, I held that position for about 7 years. I was on call 24 hours. I dressed in civilian clothes. I had my own office away from headquarters, so people can come see me, freely. The three tenets of EAP were free, voluntary, and confidential. So I had the confidence of my fellow firefighters that they knew me, I knew them, they knew I knew the job, and they trusted me. So I counseled police, fire, EMS at various levels um, of rank. And I had so many black and brown men in my offices breaking down crying that it really hurt me to see my brothers hurting. With that being said, um, because I was taking in so many emotions from other men, and I couldn't share their stories with other people or with my wife because it wouldn't be fair to her. I sought counseling to make sure I was okay during that time period.
Wow, that's wonderful. So
Yes,
you had
yes.
an opportunity to really, it's kind of like it's a ministry in a sense. It's a social
That's
and,
exactly what it was.
and
Exactly.
psychological ministry because you were
Yep.
able to help others, and then
Yep.
you decided from there to create something digitally to celebrate African
Absolutely.
American men. Because a lot
Yep.
of people don't realize that, I can say this as a man, that men hurt a lot of black men, especially men of color, hurt a lot.
Oh,
But
we're hurting.
nobody,
We're hurting.
unfortunately, nobody cares most of the time.
Right. Right. And you know this old story. When you're a child in the hood and a black boy fall, what's the first thing that's told to him?
That's right. They say,
Get
suck
up,
it up,
get up,
basically.
suck it up, be a man. Well, you a kid, you a boy. It hurts, but we're not allowed that expression. We're not allowed that space to show our emotions. On the job, you can't show anger. Because now you're the angry black man. In the hood, you can't be passive because then your buddy get beat up all the time. So
That's
it's
right.
where do we find comfort in being our full selves?
That's
and,
right.
and I, I didn't see it in the media. I didn't see the support of black men in the media. And this is a generalization statement, but black men usually fall in one of three buckets. We're either fantastic entertainers, incredible athletes, or criminals.
That's, you know what? That is the truth.
Yeah,
But you know
yeah.
what? I can truly say after meeting you, you have overcome many obstacles for yourself. And I can just say, just meeting you, I'm proud of you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you,
And and,
brother.
and now this is Code M was a vision the Lord gave to me because once I retired, I saw the need to continue, but on a different basis. So I'm continuing the ministry. I'm continuing my counseling. I'm continuing my supporting black men through the magazine.
That's wonderful. Can you share your theories about psychology, men of color, success, and higher education?
Well, I think a lot of times growing up, um, there weren't expectations put on black boys and black and young black men. A lot of us weren't, depending on your family structure, depending on the neighborhood you come from. We didn't see a lot of successful black men. We weren't exposed to a lot of black men doing different things. I mean, athletes, yes, entertainers, yes, but were we exposed to black accountants? Were we exposed to lawyers, to doctors, to come and tell us how to get to where we were, how to get to where we are? What is success to you? Um, we're taught that success is go to school, go to college, get a job, retire, and sit in front of a chair and watch, in your rocking chair and watch TV. Buy you a house, have 2.5 kids, get you a Cadillac or whatever, and that's successful. Well, no, success is as broad of a definition as there are people to define it. Your success might be different from my success.
That's right.
People can look at my story and say, well, that brother, he failed here, he failed here, he failed there, but I didn't stop trying. I never stopped trying.
That's right.
And you only fail when you stop trying.
That's right.
You
know what? Can you? How has your professional magazine contributed to your social advocacy regarding your work as a business owner and community icon for males of color? And who influenced you to become a business owner and visionary leader? And really a trainer, because really you are a trainer.
Right,
You're a trainer in terms of how to live a healthy life as a man of color, how to address your own matters.
Well, I think the magazine is a reflection of my views on life. I am a positive thinker. I am a positive person. A guy told me one day, he said, you never have a bad day. He said, you might have a bad moment in a day, but it's still a good day. So I want the magazine to reflect who we really are. We are a wonderful, talented, and beautiful community. We've survived far more than any other culture could ever have survived. Not only just survived, we've thrived. I've had the opportunity to travel the world. I had 2 apartments in China. And when I was in China, I realized our culture is affecting China. Our culture drives the world. So what I try to do is make sure that Code M reflects our community in a positive way. We always want to be solution oriented. All of our images are positive. And actually, this is my give back to our communities to make sure that we see ourselves in a positive light. And I want people of color, men and women, to feel so very comfortable when they read Code M. It's as if they have on a pair of slippers because they can feel what we're talking about.
Can you share 3 essential perspectives about Code M? Just 3.
3. Like I said, 1 is we're always positive. We're solution oriented. Our articles are solution oriented. Secondly, we put everyday people in the magazine. We have people in there that no one that may have heard of, but they're doing positive things or they're having positive effects in their communities. So we're giving them their 15 minutes of fame and we're giving them their flowers while they're living. My dad always taught me, son, give people flowers while they're living, while they can smell it. And lastly, we want to make sure that we are a proud representative of our communities, that anyone that looks at it realizes that, oh, they are about something. These people, they bringing it. They bringing their A game to the table. And no matter what profession they are in, that we are representing and represented well in our communities.
And how do you find your wonderful participants in the magazine, if I may ask?
Man, going to the grocery store, going to get my car looked at. I mean, first of all, I'm an extrovert. I'm a people person. I've always loved people. My motto is, I like nice things, but I love people. Because everyone you talk to has a journey. Everyone has a story. Everyone has their struggles. Some secret, some are out in the open. But everyone is an individual. God made everyone different, but he loves us all. He doesn't love me more than he loves you, and vice versa. He loves us all. And I'm just amazed by people and their stories. So, now, before I had to go out and ask people for their stories, but now people are sending, stories to us, or potential stories about people to us. And I'm meeting some incredible people all over the country. And it's humbling for me, and it's an honor.
Wow. I just have three more questions. Who influenced you to become just a successful African American male advocate? Is it just from your own experiences, or was it your pops, or was it your uncle, was it your college professors? But was there a centralized person who said to you, Mr. Akram, you can do this?
Well, I'm going to preface it back and say I grew up in a very strong village. Having my grandparents, being around my grandparents when I was young, they were together for 60, 70 years. I watched my grandfather. He started the first Cleveland Mosque. So I grew up in the religion of Islam. So that's the village. And, Islam is usually representative of very strong men, very strong black men. So I grew up in the village of seeing very strong black men. And then on top of that, like I said, having been, my father been in my life my whole life, seeing the strength that he portrayed in good times and in bad times. Growing up, my father had the second largest minority construction company in the state of Ohio. He was the first minority for Turner Construction in Cleveland, in Ohio. So I watched his struggle with that. I took away his strengths, but I also realized that he has been grooming me my whole life for this moment right here. Saying things to me, keeping me, and I didn't understand what he was saying or why he was doing those things. But as I've grown and as I've learned, as I've made mistakes, as I've recovered, as I'm becoming successful, I just hear the different things that he would tell me to make sure that I am grounded for this moment right now.
Wow. A strong foundation.
Yes, absolutely. And which in turn I've given to my children, to my sons, and to my daughter and my grandkids.
Wow. What obstacles have you encountered as a professional man of color today?
Wow, I mean, beside racism, and ironically, people look at firemen and it's an honorable profession. Trust me, I kudos to firefighters, men, women all over the world. It's a very hard profession, but it's a brotherhood. Like I said, I've traveled internationally, and every city I would go to across the globe, I would stop at a fire station. And even though oftentimes we didn't speak the same language, they would welcome me in. They would, I would break bread with them. They pulled the trucks out. I was in Milan, Italy one time. They pulled the hook and ladder truck out, put me in the bucket, put the bucket up, and let me see the skyline of Milan in the bucket of a fire truck.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yes. So it's an honorable brother. It's an honorable profession. I look back now and realize that it was the best thing for me, because one thing it taught me was I didn't realize I had this much courage. It taught me about strength. It taught me about resiliency, and it taught me about teamwork. And these are the same principles that I embody with my staff at Code M Magazine.
Wow. Now, thank you for sharing those perspectives and those realities of your life. I just want to expand on one thing and ask another question. And from a racist standpoint, did you experience any obstacles from a racially charged standpoint? Because sometimes
Absolutely.
racism and something being racially charged, which ends up being racism, but
Right.
they start from two different vantage points. Can you talk about that for a second?
Well, sadly, my observation is racism is built into the fire department. And if you think about it, fire, police, and the courts. If you look at the history of the Irish people coming over to the United States, it was because of the potato famine. And this is simplifying it a little bit and generalizing, but it was because of the potato famine. And when they came to the new country, they were considered the low caste, the downtrodden, the lower caste of society. Well, their progeny infiltrated the courts, police, and fire. That's why you see, if you look at court systems, you look at police departments and fire departments, you'll see a lot of Gallaghers, Kellys, McGaffigans. You'll see a lot of Irish names because that's where they enter into and found careers. Well, move that fast forward with police and fire, with the advent of unions, they became very well paying and good job that you can raise a family. Great benefits, great pensions, great insurance plans. So when I wanted to get on, they looked at me because they wouldn't allow black people on until a court order. They looked at me as taking one of their relative jobs. Yeah. I only got in because of affirmative action. Well, now I got in because I'm better than y'all. I'm just as qualified, if not more qualified. So that was a point of contention. And then secondly, for me, because I had a Muslim name. So, here I am, a black man with a Muslim name. Oh, that just drove them crazy. And I wasn't taking no mess with them. I wasn't taking no mess, So in the academy, I had that white boy pull me aside and say, "We don't like you." They said, "We don't like your uncle, so we don't like you." So you know what I did? I just kind of gave him the little bird.
That's right.
I slipped him the bird. And because at the time I was a Muslim, I was in Islam when I got in the fire department, I didn't eat pork. So at the fire station, we would eat together as a community. So guess what meal they had every time I worked?
Pork.
Absolutely. So that was a way of negating me. That was a way of discriminating against me at meal times. But to counter that, I learned how to cook. I took cooking classes. They would sit and watch me make meals, and they would be envious of what I was eating.
That's right. Well, my friend, you have, in our 30 plus minute session, you have been a great delight. And I want to ask you if you have any final thoughts and ideas you would like to share about you as a successful African American male, as a business owner, as a father, as a community advocate, and an all-around good dude.
Well, first of all, once again, thank you. This has been an honor that you wanted to hear my story, and that I'm able to share my ups and downs with your audience. That you have good days, you have some not so good days, but through it all, until you quit fighting, the story's not over. And it's funny, God often we ask for patience, and then we have troubles. Well, God said you asked for patience, didn't you? So I'm gonna give you some trouble so you can develop patience. I would say for entrepreneurs, never give up on your dream, no matter how difficult it may become. Seek the Lord for guidance and for counsel. Ask professionals for help if you need it. And I'm just truly blessed and thankful that everything I've done in all 66 years of my life is culminating through this magazine. And being a positive force for our community, a positive message, a beacon of light in times now that are kind of dark. But you know what? One of my mentors, the Reverend Dr. Otis Moss Jr., gave me some advice. I asked him about being a civil rights icon. And I said, I called him Papa Moss. I said, "Sir, you've been here before." I said, "You've given your life to civil rights. How does this times make you feel when you see our rights being eroded?" And his answer was very profane and simple. He says, I'm going to imitate his voice. "Brother Bilal, all I can say is we've been here before. We survived it then, and we'll survive it now."
That's right.
So, and like I said, he's very encouraging to me because he was in the era of ebony and jet during the civil rights era. And he's relating to me the importance of Code M during these times. So, like I said, it's been a blessing for me. It's been humbling for me. It's been a hard journey. It's not easy. I'm not going to sit here and paint this picture that this journey has been easy. No, it's been fraught with uncertainty, a lot of tears at night because I didn't know what the next thing to do. I didn't know how things were going to get paid. We are a fledgling company, but fortunately we're digital, so our costs are minimized. We run a very lean operation, but really, we are on the cusp of exploding and becoming a global brand. So I think in the near future, money will be the last thing I think about. And the key for me is to remain humble, to stay focused on the Lord, and stay focused on serving my communities.
Well, you have most surely impacted me during this time. You done impacted me to the point that I promise you, one of these days I'm gonna get a ticket and come to Cleveland, Ohio, and sit down, and I'm gonna take you out to dinner. I have a good
Yes,
buddy of
yes.
mine that's from Cleveland, and he talks about Cleveland. I'm so honored to have met you, Mr. Bilal Akram. Thank you once again, and I look forward to engaging with your magazine, Code M Magazine, and helping to share the wonderful creation that you have created. God bless you in all that you do, and thank you once again for allowing me, as the CEO of Professor for Life Incorporated, to interview on this platform. Do be blessed and have a God blessed day.
Thank you, sir. Same to you. And grateful for your platform.
Thank you. Bye bye now.
Bye bye.